Hey there, soulmates. Plenty to discuss about on this Monday, January 23rd. Hope that weekend was good for you. Welcome to FOXSOUL's Black Report. I'm Courtney Hicks.
And I'm Nicordelai Corte. Happy Monday, soulmates. We're honored to stand behind this desk each day to take you on a journey across Black America and the stories that impact our people.
Yeah, we're going to bring you our news, our views, and our voice. Topping our headlines today, we have an update to a story we first brought you last week in the disappearance of Kayla Kelly. Her body was found in a shallow grave in a wooded area in Grand Prairie, Texas, less than a mile from the house of the man police believe is connected to her death. Ocaster Ferguson is being held in jail for kidnapping after investigators learned that he used a fake name and lied about being married while the two were dating. Kelly allegedly threatened to expose him. Ferguson's car was then parked near Kelly's house in McKinney with gloves, duct tape, and a blanket inside. Ferguson is also charged with arson after Kelly's car was found burned on a country road in Frisco.
The family of Tyree Nichols is set to review body camera footage today before it's released to the public. 5 Memphis police officers have now been fired after the 29-year-old was pulled over and died 3 days later. His family has accused police of beating Nichols, breaking his neck, causing him to have a heart attack. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation is looking into whether the officers' actions were criminal in nature.
And a group of police officers and first responders pleaded not guilty to various charges in the killing of 23-year-old Elijah McClain. You might remember in 2019, McClain was walking when police stopped him after receiving a 911 call about someone who seemed, quote, sketchy. Officers forcibly restrained McClain in a chokehold and paramedics injected him with ketamine. An autopsy report said McClain would have lived if he wasn't injected with the higher than recommended dose. Now, the officers and first responders were indicted back in 2021. The trials are set to start this summer.
Lawyers for the 5-year-old son of a man who died after repeatedly being shocked by Los Angeles police with a stun gun following a traffic collision is suing the city for $50 million in damages. It was January 3rd when Keenan Anderson was involved in a traffic accident in Venice. The video shows Anderson running from officers through traffic. Ultimately, he was taken to the ground by officers and tased 6 times. He later died at the hospital. Police say before Anderson was taken into custody and after that traffic accident, he tried to carjack an innocent driver. Police say initial toxicology reports show cocaine and cannabis in his system. In a statement, the Los Angeles Police Protective League says unreleased video will prove Anderson escalated the incident. You know, Courtney, $50 million is a lot of money, though not enough money to bring back Keenan Anderson, a 31-year-old father, an English teacher. This 5-year-old kid's going to have to live the rest of his life without his dad.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting about this case is that, you know, the focus in terms of the overuse of force isn't by use of a gun, it's by use of a taser. And one of the things I learned from Paul Henderson, former deputy DA for the city and county in San Francisco, in an interview, I learned from him that there's a separate standard for use of force related to firearms versus tasers. And so this case is going to be really interesting to follow. And you know, if in fact police were operating outside of guidelines, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not there are reforms to the use of tasers, not just in Los Angeles, but across the country.
Yeah, and I'm interested to really zone in on the case with Elijah McClain. It was just a heartbreaking case. I do believe he was on the scale, autistic scale. I think I remember that. I'll have to fact check that. But obviously in distress after he was confronted by these police. And I do remember him clearly saying, hey, you know, I'm walking from here to there. I went to the store and it's not me. And for it to escalate as it did, and then to make it even more heartbreaking when that autopsy comes back and says he could very well still be here with us had not they recklessly administered that amount of ketamine. Just an absolute heartbreaking story. And these first responders and police say, they are not guilty, as if, their actions did not result in this young man leaving this earth. So I'm really going to focus in on that particular trial and see how that plays out, especially with them pleading not guilty.
You're right, because clearly Elijah did not kill himself.
Clearly. All right, we're going to move on here. A violent weekend, unfortunately, and the deadly shooting of a 13-year-old boy has Atlanta leaders looking for solutions to the rise in crime. Fox 5 has more on the young man who was gunned down on teen night.
Deshaun DuBose went out for a night of fun. He never made it home alive. The 13-year-old was gunned down late Saturday night. Police found the boy shot multiple times on the sidewalk along Southwest Atlanta's Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. The shooting took place just up the street from the Cascade skating rink, where APD investigators think Deshaun had been before getting shot.
Teen night has always been a problem. It's nothing new. I hate it came to this.
An employee of a nearby business says he often sees young people loitering in the area.
That same event, just 2 hours before, they came in and caused a little bit of trouble.
No arrests have been made. Police are still trying to piece together what led up to the shooting, which they say involved a number of juveniles. They don't know how many, if any, of those kids were at the rink with Deshaun.
Why are y'all at a level of anger and beef y'all have to use guns?
District 10 Council member Andrea L. Boone released a statement calling the violence deeply disturbing. She went on to say that for decades the rink has provided a safe haven for families, and that she plans on talking with the rink owner and police about what happened.
Something does need to be done, and a lot more conversations do need to be had.
The Public Safety Committee of the Atlanta City Council will meet today to discuss the resolution.
One of the proposed solutions by Atlanta's Public Safety Committee is curfew changes for Atlanta's youth following the death of several teens. Right now, the curfew is 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. on weekdays and midnight to 6 a.m. on weekends. Council wants to change it to 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. on weekdays. Mayor Dickens spoke out about the recent deaths during an interview over the weekend. Take a listen.
The violence that we're seeing in our communities is escalating disputes. People that are unable to resolve a conflict that's just escalated too much, and people aren't fighting or arguing anymore. They're taking their hands to their pockets and pulling out a gun, and it gets too intense and someone kills someone. And that's the violence we're seeing.
We're told current exceptions for the curfew, like work hours, would remain in place. The full council is set to meet in 2 weeks. Courtney, this is just really hard to hear. It's disturbing. A teen talk about how teen life has always been a problem. Mm-hmm. Right? You're only a teenager. You're just getting started, right?
You haven't even started.
Right? For violence at a rink. How many parents drop their kids off at a rink, a roller rink, to have some fun, and nobody ever expects their kid, to come back to them in a body bag. And the mayor has a point, that conflict resolution, it seems that the young people don't have the tools for healthy conflict resolution. Yeah. The only tool that they have a tendency to reach for these days happens to be a gun, and we need more programs for kids, but there's something else that seems to be fundamentally broken, if young people are in their teens, early teens, are reaching for guns. Mm-hmm. We just reported on a story of a 6-year-old that shot their teacher with a gun. Yeah. Right? And
intentionally.
So part of this has to be about addressing the epidemic of gun violence and getting more guns off the street.
Yeah, and allegedly that incident with the 6-year-old, his intentions, he made those very clear. Listen, we can go back and forth with, does it start in the home, and extend over to the classroom. We know that a lot of teachers are now saying that they feel like, they have to make good on where the home is falling short. I don't know. Maybe it could be something as simple as maybe just not dropping your kids off at the skating rink, but maybe having a night out with your kids, staying at the skating rink, monitoring, governing your children's behaviors and interactions, knowing their friends. I really don't know what the solution is or or how you start a solution-based conversation, but there's a dire need for something to be thought of and something that can be properly executed. And so we can pull up on these stats with these young people that's losing these young people. We've talked about how we are losing yet a whole generation who's not able to even just begin life, and it is so disturbing. I just don't know. We got to stop the finger pointing. I personally believe it starts in the home. I know a lot of homes are broken, and a lot of the kids are not getting what they need, but I don't know if it's just some kind of interchange where everybody just steps up to the plate.
Yeah.
It's very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
All right. For the first time in history, Black mayors are leading America's 4 largest cities, and they're calling homelessness one of the nation's biggest issues. New York City Mayor Eric Adams, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, and Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner recently sat down for a network interview. Their cities may be spread out across the country, but Turner, Adams, and Bass are grappling with similar challenges. For Turner and Adams, it's public safety, as we just talked about, and while Bass, it's confronting homelessness. All 3 applauded the immigration plan put forth by the Biden administration earlier this month, which expanded the use of Title 42 and established a process for more immigrants to apply for asylum if they have a U.S.-based sponsor and set up an appointment at a point of entry.
The White House is weighing in on the controversial move from a Florida school board to deny an AP African American Studies course. The White House is calling it incomprehensible for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to block a new advanced placement course for high school students on Black studies, while also noting the Biden administration does not play a role in dictating school curriculums. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre called the decision by DeSantis' administration unsurprising. However, given some of the other actions the governor has taken on education in recent years. But many suspect this has to do with the Stop Woke Act that Governor Ron DeSantis signed into law last year. It limits how schools and businesses discuss race. The ACLU is currently in litigation challenging Florida's Stop Woke Act.
There are several groups urging the Congressional Black Caucus to advance H.R. 40. Now, that's a bill that establishes the commission to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans. The commission examines slavery and discrimination in the colonies and the United States from 1619 to the present and recommend appropriate remedies. The commission identifies the role of the federal and state governments in supporting the institution of slavery forms of discrimination in the public and private sectors against freed slaves and their descendants, and lingering negative effects of slavery on living African Americans and society. There are over 150 groups who are asking the National Congressional Black Caucus to continue their efforts on advancing H.R. 40.
Florida Republican Byron Donalds, one of only a handful of Black Republican lawmakers serving on Capitol Hill, says his Washington, D.C. office was sent a copy of Uncle Tom's Cabin. In a tweet, Donalds said the well-known anti-slavery work, which was authored by Harriet Beecher Stowe in the mid-1800s, was sent to his office Thursday by someone who he says has hate in their heart and the desire to depict him as a sellout. The novel has been recognized as one of the most well-known abolitionist works in history. The term Uncle Tom, in case you can't remember, has been used in the modern era to describe Black people who are deferential to white people or white culture.
You know, with acts like this, I don't know what it really is supposed to do. Like, really? Why not, not be so cowardice about it. Give this man a call, write a letter and say, hey, this is, I mean, that would be the grown, mature thing to do, I guess, to not hide behind, an act like this. But, it gets us nowhere. We're going to disagree. People are going to take different stands in regards to, their conditioning, how they feel, how they don't feel. We're always not going to agree with it, but that's that person's right to feel that way or to act that way, if you will. I don't know. I'm just over the cowardly acts, if you will. You know, man up, woman up. You know, find some conversation, some language to properly and respectfully approach the person or people that you disagree with.
And, you know, it's very interesting to me that, you know, Uncle Tom's Cabin was sent to Representative Donalds, who represents a district in Florida, a state whose school board, whose Board of Education, you know, has said that advanced placement African American studies doesn't have educational value. A state that believes that it's okay to ban books, particularly books by African Americans and books that depict African American stories. And so, you know, this is a little bit of a history lesson, I think, that they may be trying to offer Representative Donalds. And, you know, maybe he should read the book during his recess. You know, maybe it might cause him to re-examine some of his assumptions in terms of where he stands or what he allows to happen in his state of Florida.
Or just respectfully confront him with a phone call or a letter or a meeting.
Yeah,
Send him the Uncle Tom book.
They want him to learn one way or the other.
Whether it might ring true or not, really. That's all I'm saying.
Well, American track star Sha'Carri Richardson was removed from an American Airlines flight Saturday after a heated exchange with a flight attendant. Richardson claims that the flight attendant disrespected her and a fan who asked her for a photo. She recorded the incident and posted the video to Instagram. Take a look.
Recorded me, but you jumped in my video, so I caught you because you jumped in my video. You're harassing me at this point, so I think you should stop.
The crew continued to push for her removal, and as she got up to leave, passengers applauded. Richardson concluded her post by saying she would take the heat if it meant she could, quote, help just one person not have to deal with a situation like this.
And it was a situation. Can you believe it's been 4 years since Beyonce last headlined a show, and the Queen returned over the weekend to perform at the opening of the Atlantis Royal Resort in Dubai. The performance was nothing short of spectacular, according to all of the undercover videos that were posted over the weekend. Beyonce said no phones at her concert, but fans didn't exactly follow those rules. This went down at Beyonce's private concert celebrating the Atlantis Royal Hotel in Dubai. Fans were given a pouch to place their phones in and asked to not record any of her performances, but not everyone honored her wishes. But we have official video. Take a look. I think that was the opening scene there. Beyonce's 11-year-old daughter, Blue Ivy, she's growing up so fast, joined her mother on stage to perform her Grammy award-winning hit Brown Skin Girl. And getting Beyonce to perform wasn't cheap. The singer was reportedly paid $24 million for the 1-hour show.
Okay, so Courtney, as a former Atlanta resident, you might be able to relate to this.
Okay.
Just about anyone who's been to Georgia has a story about Atlanta traffic. But one couple might know more than most. This is because their baby was born in traffic along Interstate 75. Our friends at Fox 5 Atlanta have the story.
Baby in my pants.
A typical busy Tuesday on I-75 in late November led to a not-so-typical birth story for Atlanta couple Loston and Deshae Fudd.
Literally, my water broke, and a second later, she was in my pants.
It all started when Deshae started noticing signs of labor.
My husband had got off work early because he knew I was having contractions. So as soon as he got off work, I was like, pack the car, let's go to the hospital.
Soon after getting on I-75 North, things started progressing fast.
We were there for about 10 minutes and my water broke. And I was like, oh my gosh, my water just broke. And then something like exploded in my pants. And I was like, something is in my pants. Like, can you check and see what's in my pants? And he had to, like, he was like panicking, trying to drive and look, and he's like, "Is that the baby?"
Not knowing what else to do, Loston kept driving.
Stretched out and like, okay, yeah, the baby is the baby. Okay, we good, but it's in your pants. We not good. It's 15 minutes on the GPS. This is bad. Like, put her back in you. Put her back inside of you. Down. What are you doing? Like, oh my God. All in my passenger seat. Oh my God.
Thankfully, a Georgia State Patrol trooper was passing by and Loston managed to flag him down.
I rolled down the window. I'm like, yo. He was acting all crazy. Didn't even understand what I was saying. I was just like, all right, man. Okay, let's. I just need you to get me to the hospital. I got a baby in the passenger seat.
The trooper escorted the couple through traffic, helping them reach the hospital safely with their newborn baby girl.
He just ran into the hospital, and a couple minutes later, it was like 15 labor and delivery nurses running to the car, and they cut the umbilical cord right there in the car, wrapped the baby up, got me in a wheelchair, and handed me the baby and took us up. I didn't even have enough time to have an emotion. It was just total shock. Like, it was straight from shock to, is she okay, to let's just get there.
Little Dariah Denise was given the all clear, weighing 5 pounds, 7 ounces, and born in Atlanta traffic.
I definitely agree with the Atlanta is packed comments now.
I always knew it was bad. Like, it just was a bad time for it to be bad.
Courtney Bryant for Good Day Atlanta.
Our thanks to Courtney Bryant for that story. Deshae says she posted a video about the story on social media, and the video now has 8 million views. What a story to tell.
With a happy ending.
Right, with a happy ending. You know, Pop was cracking me up.
My front seat.
He said, all in my passenger seat.
Yeah, what a cute baby. What a great story. Probably absolutely terrifying as it was happening.
Yeah.
So glad mom and baby are okay. I love to hear that the hospital staff was ready and prepared, to take care of this family, and that the police officer finally, listened to what he was trying to convey. I'm sure the dad was just nervous, and it was probably very hard for that officer to understand what was happening. But I'm glad everything worked out. And I remember seeing that video. It did go viral fairly quickly because you're looking at this baby down here with a head full of hair. Like, right. What? So she came into the world blazing, baby.
That's
for sure.
And how cute was baby Dariah?
I know, adorable.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Congratulations to that young family. This is a story they're going to tell the rest of her life.
The rest of her life. All right, still ahead, several warnings coming from professionals from the operating room to your kitchen cabinets.
That's right. We'll tell you all the concerns from experts when we return. You're watching FOXSOUL's Black Report.